Brace yourselves. We have breaking Chanel news. What has happened this time? And why? This is Jose. So, as reported by Fashion United, Chanel raises, you might think, oh, prices again. Apparently, raising prices wasn't enough for them to balance the balance and the ledgers and the books. No, Chanel raised $700 million. Why, how, and when? We're going to get to all the details right after this. First, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today. Again, access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon. Super Dacob all spelled together there as well for extra perks. This video is being filmed live in front of a live virtual audience. I live stream several times a week, so come join the fun. Come join the chat. Hello to my co-chatters. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. Ollie says, for Chanel charity, everyone gets a Birkin. I mean, a classic flap. Listen to this, Linda. Fashion Ad Report, and this is so fascinating. Do you remember a couple of, well, at this point, it was already a couple of months ago, we were analyzing the interview that Bloomberg, Francine, did from Bloomberg with the Baconator, Lena Nair. And Francine asked, one of the questions was, is Chanel going to go public? Meaning, is Chanel going to go, because Chanel is a privately owned company. The question was asked, is Chanel going to go public on the stock market? Are you going to allow people to publicly purchase stock? Like Ollie says, IPO. Is Chanel going IPO? It's like Lucille Ball, you know, with Desi Arnaz, you know, why can't I be in the show? Why can't I be in the show? People keep asking, why aren't you selling your stock? Why aren't you selling your stock? And Lena is like, we don't need to. We're popular. You know, when Lena said, we love Virginie Viard, and then Virginie left. And I told you, whatever corporate bullshit is told to you by the corporate heads, just believe the opposite. In fact, Bruno Pavlovsky and Lena were talking about Virginie Viard being amazing. Isn't she doing amazing? Isn't she doing amazing? And I said to you before Virginie left, already back in May or April, I said, oh boy, if Bruno Pavlovsky and Lena Nair are praising Virginie so much, she's going to go. They already fired her. Or something is going to go down. And everybody's like, no, no, no. Look what happened. June 5th, 2024. Virginie Viard leaves Chanel. Told you so. And I also told you when there was talk about the IPO and people kept asking in the Bloomberg interview, but also in Business of Fashion interview, on another interview that the Baconator did, they asked, hey, is Chanel going IPO? Is Chanel going IPO? And the Baconator is like, no, 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 no. Well, well, well. Guess what just happened yesterday? Guess what happened yesterday? Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Luxury, as reported by Fashion United, luxury fashion house Chanel has reportedly raised 700 million euro. Oh my God, not dollars, euro. That's even more than $700 million. 700 million euro. But not go an IPO. Instead, in a U.S. private placement, and I will, don't get all weird, like, what does that mean? I'll explain everything. Goldman Sachs Group Incorporate and Société Générale S.A. are the major investors, Bloomberg reports, citing sources close to the matter. A private placing is a financing round that is only available to a select group of investors. It is not offered to the general public and is therefore also called a non-public offering. In other words, they went public without going public so that they can state that they're not IPOing, but they need the money. Why would they need the money if they just told us that they had 13 to 16% growth last year And then one of their CEOs, you remember in the interview, he slipped and he said like, what, 7 or 8% of that growth was due to price increases. And then he was like, you remember when that happened? So they're tricking the books, in my opinion, allegedly. You know what I mean? There's the ledger and then there's the ledger, as we've learned from Twin Peaks season 1, when the windmill burned down. IYK, YK. Now, here is the interesting part. Earlier this year, the company's annual report revealed an increase in both revenue and profit for Chanel. The company recorded a turnover of 19.7 billion euro, plus 16% compared to a year earlier. Operating profit rose by 10.9% in the financial year to a level of 6.4 billion euros. I think they're worried that they're not going to grow as much and they need the money because the money ain't coming in this year, honey. Allegedly. Fashion United has reached out to Chanel, Goldman Sachs Group Inc. and Société Générale SA for more information, but is awaiting a response. Now, let me read to you what is a private placement. A private, and I got this from Jujul, or Gulu 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 Gulu. Do you know that video? When they spell Google on the blackboard, like G, G, O, everybody repeats the whole classroom. G, everybody G. L, L, E, E. And then what's it spelled together? Gulu, 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 gulu. So on Gulu Gulu, it says that a private placement is a sale of stock, shares, or bonds to pre-selected investors and institutions rather than publicly on the open market. It is an alternative to an initial public offering, also called IPO. IPO is the abbreviation term that we've utilized at the beginning of this video. So IPO stands for initial public offering for a company seeking to raise capital for expansion. So they want to expand, but I think they wanted those $700 million or euro so that next year they can still tell us that they made a huge profit this year. You see, because if they didn't get, this is what I think, if they didn't get their 700 million this year from the investors, then they could not claim huge growth in 2024 because the sales just aren't there, in my opinion. I'm just speculating here. But now that they've got this investment, they could say next year, oh, we're growing, we're amazing. I'm like, yeah, somebody bailed you out from going in minus, I suppose, allegedly. Isn't that interesting? But there's more to this. So then to the question, what is an example of a private placement company? Gulu 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 answers, examples of private placement companies include real estate investment trusts, REITs, non-traded REITs, hedge funds, equipment leasing agreements, tenants in common, and various oil and gas limited partnerships. In other words, all the shady business you could list that's borderline legal, that's what they're doing. Period. And at the to the question, is a private placement a good thing? Gulu 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 answers, private placement can be a cost-effective way for companies to raise capital. Private placement offerings are exempt from many of the regulatory requirements that apply to public offerings. So they're hiding something. In other words, to go public and do an IPO, you got to abide by certain rules, and transparency is one of them, which, as we all know from the history of the Chanel brand, they do not like transparency. They do not like to share anything. If they can avoid to share anything with the public, they will avoid. So by doing this form of going on the stock market without going on the stock market, they don't get to follow all the rules that a going public company would have to follow, including a certain type of transparency. Deborah says exactly, it equals less transparency. And so private placement offerings are exempt from many of the regulatory requirements that apply to public offerings, which can significantly reduce the costs associated with offering securities. This also means that the companies that decide to invest in this way in another company are also running a bigger risk. And the company taking the money owes them less in return, allegedly. Isn't that interesting? Patricia Casey says, but they still don't have to make their finances public. No, they pay to not make them public. Like they pay like a sort of a fee. But they decide to make them public when they make a big surplus because then they're proud of it, you know. But then there are many years in which Chanel decided to not disclose how much earning they made and how many taxes they paid. What is the role of a private placement? To that question, Guru answered, a private placement agent or placement agent is a firm assisting fund managers in the alternative asset class. Example, private equity, infrastructure, real estate, hedge funds, and venture capital. All of these borderline shady AF. So typical. This reeks of Lena Nair, if you ask me. Now we're getting to the juice. Now we're getting to the bacon. Now we understand why she was hired, in my humble opinion. Because ever since she came, honey, ship started sinking. My opinion, at least. Just my opinion. And entrepreneurs, private companies, example, startups and growth capital companies seeking to raise private financing. Except guess what? Chanel isn't a startup. Chanel isn't a growth capital company, but it seems like they want to turn it into one. Oh, how deep we have fallen. Is private placement risky? To that question, Guru answered, marketing an issue may be more difficult for private placements as these investments can be quite risky. With lower liquidity and publicly traded securities, private placements can also be done quicker than IPOs. In other words, when you need the money real fast, you do the private placement. You got no time to go public. I wonder why they were in such a hurry to do all of this before the end of the fiscal year. One doth wonder. To the question, what is the downside of private placement? Guru answered, disadvantage, a more demanding buyer. The buyer of a private placement bond issue expects a higher rate of interest than can be earned on a publicly traded security. Because of the additional risk of not obtaining a credit rating, a private placement buyer may not buy a bond unless it is secured by specific collateral. In other words, also, not anybody can bid on this private placement. You have to be invited by the company to give investment. In a private placement, a company sells its securities, stocks, bonds, or other financial instruments to a small number of accredited investors. So to the question, how does private placement make money? Guru answers, in a private placement, a company sells its securities, stocks, bonds, or other financial instruments to a small number of accredited investors, institutions, or qualified buyers without making the offering available to the general public. Who is eligible for private placement? Guru answered, all private placement offers should be made only to those persons whose names are recorded by the company before sending the invitation to subscribe. The persons whose names are recorded will receive the offer, and the company should maintain a complete record of the offers in form PAS 5, which I don't know what is. How many investors can you have in a private placement? Guru answered, securities may not be sold to more than 35 non-accredited investors. All non-accredited investors, either alone or with a purchaser, representative must meet the legal standard of having sufficient knowledge and experience in financial and business matters to be capable of evaluating the merits and risks of the endeavor. And how long does a private placement last? Guru answered, as an investment grade asset class offering a range of maturities from as short as 3 years to as long as 30 years or even more. Private placements are an attractive fixed income investment for insurance companies, pension funds, and other institutional investors. So I think Chanel wants money. I think they need money because otherwise, why do this? Why do this otherwise? And so sneakily, we're still not doing public. We're doing this the other route. Very, very sneaky. Oh, I think we're going to see some major shifts and changes with Chanel is playing the game, honey. They're playing the game. Rachel says, private equity ruins everything. Asset stripping is the end result. So Rachel, what do you think is going on? Why did they do the private equity? Are they going to sell the company? Is this why they're going private? Because they want to strip? Asset stripping is the end result. You think they're going to sell parts away? Are they gearing up to sell Chanel? Is this what's happening? They just want to raise its value before they sell by having all these investors give 700 million euro? What is the reason of this? Rachel says, yes, I think so. Just my opinion. Rachel says, I think they want to sell. Gloria Recino says, oh, something is definitely going to go down, honey. Go down, baby. Tina says, they're a stock house all along. Sorry, they are selling. So, Tina, you think they're selling? But who do we think they're selling to is my next question. Yeah, Corey says, yeah, it's like going to the creepy check cashing place. Deborah says, yes, artificially inflate value of the company, make it look good. Baconator at work, says Deborah C. So they're inflating the company artificially, and then they want to sell it, you think. Karen says, the company is changing, losing the history of Chanel. Jalfredo says, more knockoffs, baby. Kev says, the Vatheimers want out before it collapses. Interesting, Kev. Zeitgeist says, this is giving me a sense of foreboding. Outstanding report, says Francesca. Thank you, darling. Teresa McGuire says, something weird going on. Companies don't normally do this unless they are about to sell. Leanne says, I've been through several hedge fund and private equity sales. It always sucks. Karen Brody says, my dear, that is called pump a dump or pump and dump. Patricia Casey says, in my opinion, I don't think so. They wouldn't have raised money this way. Just my thoughts. So Patricia, what do you think they're going to do? Why did they do this private placement offering? Why did they do the private placement? Why do you think so, Patricia? Pally Hesta says they be selling to Michael Kors. Really? Frozen Luxury says Chanel is raising money for their gardener's inheritance. There you go. Corey says they are not offering the same salary to the new atelier workers. Oh, the shade. Allegedly. Tina says BlackRock bought Creed, so we'll go. Sylvia says they're selling to Kevin. Deborah C says their timing is off, says Deborah. Well, what do you guys think is going on? What do you think is going on? Why do they do the private placement? Why the 700 million? Why those companies that we listed at the beginning, why are they placing the private placement? Patricia says, buying time. They still think they're number one, says Patricia. So you think they're taking this money because they still think they're number one. That is an interesting approach to this, Patricia. Interesting. Rachel says they could be selling to someone like BlackRock, Keurig, etc., or selling a part of the business. Kev says, are they not going to announce new creative team until they sell? Well, they're not announcing sale at all yet, so we don't know. We don't know. Corey says, I think they need money short term. Then once that is sorted and they are doing better, they will be safe. Okay, so Corey, you don't think they want to sell? Amanda says, I don't know, but money is expensive with interest rates so high. This private placement could be a more cost-effective way to raise necessary money for operations and growth. Yes, but then the investors want their profits back. What if the profits don't come? Then what's going to happen? Although we did say, right, according to these analytics, you're taking a bigger risk if you're doing a private placement, but still the rewards are higher apparently. Deborah says they are unlisted, so no need to raise money in a hurry unless you're selling, says Deborah C. That's a good point. T-Pal says it's a marketing strategy, selling in exclusive boutiques and luxury chain stores. Cinnamon Roll says they needed the money to afford John Galliano. That's a good one. I wish he would go to Chanel. Patricia says we always agree. Without ever knowing it in advance. Oh, my imaginary sister Corey Emerson. Oh, cute. And, well, Zeitgeist says, but what makes Chanel special is that it is a private company. They can't sell tears. Tears, tears, tears. Let me know, guys, what are your thoughts about this move that Chanel just did? This little private placement for 700 million euro. What do you think this means for the future of Chanel? Let me know down below. Thumb up the video, subscribe to my channel. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Bye!